What's up, guys? So I got home from work and I felt like making a video about developing your interests, your passion. I talked about this morning. I already made a video and I thought a little bit more about it, and I want to share a little bit more about it. So, from my experience, and I'm still learning, and I'm anxious, excited to learn. I really want to keep progressing, and I've already made plenty of improvement and progress, but I got plenty more room for improvement, etc. Anyways, from my experience, I would like to share a little bit, and this might help somebody understand how you develop an interest or a passion, or how you start understanding what you want to do with your life and how you start making that happen. So I just want to take a few minutes. I don't want to make this too long. I want to go exercise. I just finished taking a bunch of notes, developing and strengthening my own interest and continuing to do that. So here we go. I want to tell you something real quick. Maybe this will help somebody. Let's say you're interested in cars, okay? But you know nothing about them, but you like them. So you have to start somewhere. So, for example, maybe you ask a mechanic, what is horsepower? And the mechanic tells you, well, the more horsepower the car has, the faster or the stronger it is. So that's one step. And then you say, okay, cool. I like that. You never knew what horsepower was or what it did. Now you know a little bit about it. So now you know a little bit more about a car. So now next you're going to ask, well, how do you get that car to have more horsepower? And then the mechanic might tell you, well, you upgrade it, for example. And you're like, upgrade it? What's upgraded? And the mechanic tells you that's when you improve the car's parts, for example. And you're like, car parts? What are car parts? And so on and so forth. So that's how you develop an interest. But you have to start it. You have to start somewhere. And first you have to make sure you're really interested in something. And it's not going to be easy, because each question is going to keep opening up more and more available information and so on and so forth. But that's just one example. So like I said, you got to start somewhere, and that's how you develop an interest. You ask about the horsepower, he's going to tell you that gives a car more strength, more power. It makes it go faster. You're going to ask, well, how do you get in more horsepower? He's going to tell you you get car parts, you upgrade it. You're going to say, well, what kind of car parts are there? And how much power does each car part add? And, what does each car part do for the car? And so on and so forth. Eventually, you're going to learn about wheels, and eventually you're going to learn about this and that and that. And you're going to want to keep knowing more and more, and you're going to build basically an obsession. As far as I've experienced, you're going to develop an obsession. A healthy obsession, perhaps, is one way to put it. So finally, I just wanted to share real quick one more thing. Something that's very obviously a part of this world or society that I've experienced firsthand, and also that I see all around, abundantly everywhere I go, is alcoholism. So this is an interesting topic that I bring up, but I'm going to tell you real quick why I bring it up. So an alcoholic doesn't become an alcoholic from one day to another. It takes time. First, they have to find out that alcohol exists. So maybe that happens at the beginning when they're younger in their alcoholism, when it's not considered alcoholism yet. So first they find out that alcohol exists, and then they start finding out, first there's, for example, beer, and then they find out that there's also different kinds of beer, and then they find out that there's also hard liquor, and then they find out that there's flavored liquor, and then they find out that there's different strengths of liquor. Slowly, they start developing an interest for alcohol, but it starts somewhere. 3 years down the line, they go from having 2 or 3, drinks a day to drinking every day, and they go from having 5% alcohol to 40% alcohol. For example, this is what I've witnessed. They go from having 3 beers to 12 pack. This is what I've witnessed all around me, and I've experienced it as well. A lot of things I've learned have been through less than fortunate experiences, for lack of a better way to put it. And so a lot of the things I've learned have been through difficult or less than desirable moments of my life. But I witnessed alcoholism everywhere, and I just wanted to bring this up. It's very similar, except for instead of alcohol, you switch the interest, you switch the substance, you switch the subject, and you have to find out. So instead of finding out that alcohol exists, you find out that something else exists, and then you find out that there's different types of that, and then you find out that there's different strengths, or there's different areas, whatever. But it's the same thing. My point is, it doesn't happen from one day to another. It's basically at least one of my points that I'm trying to make. It doesn't happen from one day to another, but you start building a tolerance, or you start building knowledge, and it doesn't happen from one day to another. You just keep building it. But first you have to introduce yourself to it. Once you introduce yourself to it, you start finding out what other things exist in that field, for lack of a better way to put it. Anyways, guys, that's a quick video about developing interests, developing habits, developing passion, direction, understanding what you want to do and why you want to do it. I hope that helps in some way. I'll make more videos later, and I appreciate anybody who watches these videos. I'm about to go work out. That might have been a little bit of an interesting way to put it, but just like you can develop a bad habit, you can also do that with a good habit. And everybody have a good night. Talk to y'all later. Peace out.